Preliminary 1. Short title, Commencement and Application. 1. This Act may be called the 2. It shall come into force on such date as the central government may, by notification in the official gazette, appoint, and different dates may be appointed for different provisions of this Sanhita. 3. Every person shall be liable to punishment under this Sanhita and not otherwise for every act or omission contrary to the provisions thereof, of which he shall be guilty within India. 4. Any person liable, by any law for the time being in force in India, to be tried for an offence committed beyond India shall be dealt with according to the provisions of this Sanhita for any act committed beyond India in the same manner as if such act had been committed within India. 5. The provisions of this Sanhita shall also apply to any offence committed by any citizen of India in any place without and beyond India. b. Any person on any ship or aircraft registered in India wherever it may be. c. Any person in any place without and beyond India committing offence targeting a computer resource located in India. Explanation. In this section, the word offence includes every act committed outside India which, if committed in India, would be punishable under this Sanhita. Illustration. A. Who is a citizen of India, commits a murder in any place without and beyond India. He can be tried and convicted of murder in any place in India in which he may be found. 6. Nothing in this Sanhita shall affect the provisions of any act for punishing mutiny and desertion of officers, soldiers, sailors or airmen in the service of the Government of India or the provisions of any special or local law. 2. Definitions. In this Sanhita, unless the context otherwise requires. 1. Act denotes as well a series of acts as a single act. 2. Animal means any living creature other than a human being. 3. Child means any person below the age of 18 years. 4. Counterfeit, a person is said to counterfeit, who causes one thing to resemble another thing, intending by means of that resemblance to practice deception, or knowing it to be likely that deception will thereby be practiced. Explanation 1. It is not essential to counterfeiting that the imitation should be exact. Explanation 2. When a person causes one thing to resemble another thing, and the resemblance is such that a person might be deceived thereby, it shall be presumed, until the contrary is proved, that the person so causing the one thing to resemble the other thing intended by means of that resemblance to practice deception or knew it to be likely that deception would thereby be practiced. 5. Court means a judge who is empowered by law to act judicially alone, or a body of judges which is empowered by law to act judicially is a body, when such judge or body of judges is acting judicially. 6. Death means the death of a human being unless the contrary appears from the context. 7. Dishonestly means doing anything with the intention of causing wrongful gain to one person or wrongful loss to another person. 8. Document means any matter expressed or described upon any substance by means of letters, figures or marks, or by more than one of those means, and includes electronic and digital record, intended to be used, or which may be used, as evidence of that matter. Explanation 1. It is immaterial by what means or upon what substance they letters, figures or marks are formed, or whether the evidence is intended for, or may be used in a court or not. Illustrations. A writing expressing the terms of a contract, which may be used as evidence of the contract, is a document. B. A check upon a banker is a document. C. A power of attorney is a document. D. A map or plan which is intended to be used or which may be used as evidence, is a document. A writing containing directions or instructions is a document. Explanation 2. Whatever is expressed by means of letters, figures or marks as explained by mercantile or other usage, shall be deemed to be expressed by such letters, figures or marks within the meaning of this section, although they same may not be actually expressed. Illustration. A writes his name on the back of a bill of exchange payable to his order. The meaning of the endorsement, as explained by mercantile usage, is that the bill is to be paid to the holder. The endorsement is a document, and shall be construed in the same manner as if the words, pay to the holder, or words to that effect had been written over the signature. 9. Fraudulently means doing anything with the intention to defraud but not otherwise. 10. Gender, the pronoun he, and its derivatives are used of any person, whether male, female or transgender. Explanation. Transgender shall have the meaning assigned to it in clause K of Section 2 of the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act, 2019, 40 of 2019. 11. Good faith. Nothing is said to be done or believed in good faith, which is done or believed without due care and attention. 12. Government means the central government or a state government. 13. Harbor includes supplying a person with shelter, food, drink, money, clothes, arms, ammunition or means of conveyance, or the assisting a person by any means, whether of the same kind as those enumerated in this clause or not, to evade apprehension. 14. Injury means any harm whatever illegally caused to any person, in body, mind, reputation or property. 15. Illegal, and legally bound to do. The word illegal is applicable to everything which is an offense or which is prohibited by law, or which. 16. Judge means a person who is officially designated as a judge and includes a person who is empowered by law to give, in any legal proceeding, civil or criminal, a definitive judgment, or a judgment which, if not appealed against, would be definitive, or a judgment which, if confirmed by some other authority, would be definitive, or who is one of a body or persons, which body of persons is empowered by law to give such a judgment. Illustration. A magistrate exercising jurisdiction in respect of a charge on which he has power to sentence to fine or imprisonment, with or without appeal, is a judge. 17. Life means the life of a human being, unless the contrary appears from the context. 18. Local law means a law applicable only to a particular part of India. 19. Man means male human being of any age. 20. Month and year, wherever the word month or the word year is used, it is to be understood that the month or the year is to be reckoned according to the Gregorian calendar. 21. Movable property includes property of every description, except land and things attached to the earth or permanently fastened to anything which is attached to the earth. 22. Number, unless the contrary appears from the context. Words importing the singular number include the plural number, and words importing the plural number include the singular number. General Clauses Act, 1897 Section 13. Any declaration required or authorized by law to be made before a public servant or to be used for the purpose of proof, whether in a court or not. 24. Offense, except in the chapters and sections mentioned in subclauses A and B. The word offense means a thing made punishable by this Sanhita. But in chapter 3 and in the following sections, namely, subsections 2, 3, 4, and 5 of section 8, sections 9, 49, 50, 52, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 119, 120, 123, subsections 7 and 8 of section 127, 222, 230, 231, 240, 248, 250, 251, 259, 260, 261, 262, 263, subsections 6 and 7 of section 308 and subsection 2 of section 330. The word offense means a thing punishable under this Sanhita or under any special law or local law, and B. in subsection 1 of section 189, sections 211, 212, 238, 239, 249, 253 in section 1 of section 329, the word offense shall have the same meaning when the act punishable under the special law or local law is punishable under such law with imprisonment for a term of 6 months or more, whether with 25. Omission denotes as well as a series of omissions as a single omission. 26. Person includes any company or association or body of persons, whether incorporated or not. 27. Public includes any class of the public or any community. 28. Public servant means a person falling under any of the descriptions, namely, a. Every commissioned officer in the Army, Navy or Air Force. B. Every judge including any person empowered by law to discharge, whether by himself or as a member of any body of persons, any adjudicatory functions. C. Every officer of a court including a liquidator, receiver or commissioner, whose duty it is, as such officer, to investigate a report on any matter of law or fact, or to make, authenticate, or keep any document, or to take charge or dispose of any property, or to execute any judicial process, or to administer any oath, or to interpret, or to preserve order in the court, and every person specially authorized by a court to perform any of such duties. D. Every assessor or member of a panchayat assisting a court or public servant. A. Every arbitrator or other person to whom any cause or matter has been referred for decision or report by any court, or by any other competent public authority. F. Every person who holds any office by virtue of which he is empowered to place or keep any person in confinement. G. Every officer of the government whose duty it is, as such officer, to prevent offences, to give information of offences, to bring offenders to justice, or to protect the public health, safety or convenience. H. Every officer whose duty it is, as such officer, to take, receive, keep or expend any property on behalf of the government, or to make any survey, assessment or contract on behalf of the government, or to execute any revenue process, or to investigate, or to report, on any matter affecting pecuniary interests of the government, or to make, authenticate or keep any document relating to the pecuniary interests of the government, or to prevent the infraction of any law for the protection of the pecuniary interests of a government. I. Every officer whose duty it is, as such officer, to take, receive, keep or expend any property, to make any survey or assessment or to levy any rate or tax for any secular common purpose of any village, town or district, or to make, authenticate or keep any document for the ascertaining of the rights of a people of any village, town or district. J. Every person who holds any office by virtue of which he is empowered to prepare, publish, maintain or revise an electoral roll or to conduct an election or part of an election. K. Every person, I, in the service or pay of the government are remunerated by fees or commission for the performance of any public duty by the government. E. In the service or pay of a local authority as defined in Clause 31 of Section 3 of the General Clauses Act, 1897, 10 of 1897, a corporation established by or under a central or state act or a government company is defined in Clause 45 of Section 2 of the Companies Act, 2013, 18 of 2013. Explanation. A. Persons falling under any of the descriptions made in this clause are public servants, whether appointed by the government or not. B. Every person who is in actual possession of the situation of a public servant, whatever legal defect there may be in his right to hold that situation, is a public servant. C. Election means an election for the purpose of selecting members of any legislative, municipal or other public authority, of whatever character, pay, method of selection to which is by, or under any law for the time being in force. Illustration. A municipal commissioner is a public servant. 29. Reason to believe. A person is said to have reason to believe a thing, if he has sufficient cause to believe that thing but not otherwise. 30. Special law means a law applicable to a particular subject. 31. Valuable security means a document which is, or purports to be, a document whereby any legal right is created, extended, transferred, restricted, extinguished or released, or whereby any person acknowledges that he lies under legal liability, or has not a certain legal right. Illustration. A writes his name on the back of a bill of exchange. As the effect of this endorsement is to transfer the right to the bill to any person who may become the lawful holder of it, the endorsement is a valuable security. 32. Vessel means anything made for the conveyance by water of human beings or of property. 33. Voluntarily, a person is said to cause an effect, voluntarily, when he causes it by means whereby he intended to cause it, or by means which, at a time of employing those means, he knew or had reason to believe to be likely to cause it. Illustration. A sets fire, by night, to an inhabited house in a large town, for the purpose of facilitating a robbery and thus causes the death of a person. Here, A may not have intended to cause death, and may even be sorry that death has been caused by his act, yet, if he knew that he was likely to cause death, he has caused death voluntarily. 34. Will means any testamentary document. 35. Woman means a female human being of any age. 36. Wrongful gain means gain by unlawful means of property to which the person gaining is not legally entitled. 37. Wrongful loss means the loss by unlawful means of property to which the person losing it is legally entitled. 38. Gaining wrongfully, and losing wrongfully, a person is said to gain wrongfully when such person retains wrongfully, as well as when such person acquires wrongfully. A person is said to lose wrongfully when such person is wrongfully kept out of any property, as well as when such person is wrongfully deprived of property. And 39. Words and expressions used but not defined in this Sanhita but defined in the Information Technology Act, 2000, 21 of 2000, and the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, 2023 shall have the meanings respectively assigned to them in that Act and Sanhita. 3. General explanations. 1. Throughout this Sanhita, every definition of an offense, every penal provision, and every illustration of every such definition or penal provision shall be understood subject to the exceptions contained in the chapter entitled General Exceptions, though those exceptions are not repeated in such definition, penal provision, or illustration. Illustrations. A. The sections in this Sanhita, which contain definitions of offences, do not express that a child under 7 years of age cannot commit such offences, but the definitions are to be understood subject to the general exception which provides that nothing shall be an offense which is done by a child under 7 years of age. B. A police officer, without warrant, apprehends Z, who has committed murder. Here A is not guilty of the offense of wrongful confinement, for he was bound by law to apprehend Z, and therefore the case falls within P. General exception which provides that nothing is an offense which is done by a person who is bound by law to do it. 2. Every expression which is explained in any part of this Sanhita is used in every part of this Sanhita in conformity with the explanation. 3. When property is in the possession of a person's spouse, clerk or servant, on account of that person, it is in that person's possession within the meaning of this Sanhita. Explanation. A person employed temporarily or on a particular occasion in the capacity of a clerk or servant, is a clerk or servant within the meaning of this subsection. 4. In every part of this Sanhita, except where a contrary intention appears from the context, words which refer to acts done extend also to illegal omissions. 5. When a criminal act is done by several persons in furtherance of the common intention of all, each of such persons is liable for that act in the same manner as if it were done by him alone. 6. Whenever an act, which is criminal only by reason of its being done with a criminal knowledge or intention, is done by several persons, each of such persons who joins in the act with such knowledge or intention is liable for the act in the same manner as if the act were done by him alone with that knowledge or intention. 7. Wherever the causing of a certain effect, or an attempt to cause that effect by an act or by an omission, is an offense, it is to be understood that the causing of that effect partly by an act and partly by an omission is the same offense. Illustration. A intentionally causes Z's death, partly by illegally omitting to give Z food, and partly by beating Z. A has committed murder. 8. When an offense is committed by means of several acts, whoever intentionally cooperates in the commission of that offense by doing any one of those acts, either singly or jointly with any other person, commits that offense. Illustrations. A and B agree to murder Z by severally and at different times giving him small doses of poison. A and B administer the poison according to the agreement with intent to murder Z. Z dies from the effects the several doses of poison so administered to him. Here A and B intentionally cooperate in the commission of murder, and as each of them does an act by which the death is caused, they are both guilty of the offense though their acts are separate. B. A and B are joint jailers, and as such have the charge of Z, a prisoner, alternatively for 6 hours at a time. A and B, intending to cause Z's death, knowingly cooperate in causing that effect by illegally omitting, each during the time of his attendance, to furnish Z with food supplied to them for that purpose. Z dies of hunger. Both A and B are guilty of the murder of Z. C. A jailer, has the charge of Z, a prisoner. A, intending to cause Z's death, illegally omits to supply Z with food, in consequence of which Z is much reduced in strength, but the starvation is not sufficient to cause his death. A is dismissed from his office, and B succeeds him. B, without collusion or cooperation with A, illegally omits to supply Z with food, knowing that he is likely thereby to cause Z's death. Z dies of hunger. B is guilty of murder, but as it did not cooperate with B, A is guilty only of an attempt to commit murder. 9. Where several persons are engaged or concerned in the commission of a criminal act, they may be guilty of different offenses by means of that act. Illustration. A attacks Z under such circumstances of grave provocation that his killing of Z would be only culpable homicide not amounting to murder. B. Having ill will towards Z and intending to kill him, and not having been subject to the provocation, assists in killing Z here, though A and B are both engaged in causing Z's death. B is guilty of murder, and A is guilty only of culpable homicide.